Wayne, if we just start, please, with some news on potentially Erik ten Hag's future and what that might look like going forwards. Is his time dwindling now at the club?
Dwindling, yes. Over, no. There's obviously a big power vacuum at Man United at the moment. They've got the current regime still in place, run and overseen by the Glazers, while Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment hasn't yet been completed, and that's likely now to drag on for some time. It's not just a matter of completing the actual 25% takeover, which is worth 1.3 million, but it's also for that process to be ratified by the Premier League, and that could take 4 to 6 weeks, potentially even 8 weeks. So even if the deal was to be completed tomorrow, it would still be some time before it'd be vetted by the Premier League. So in terms of the impact Jim Ratcliffe can have on Man United, that won't be for some time. So Man United in a position at the moment where they can't really sack Ten Hag or appoint a new manager because there's a new guy going to be in charge, because Sir Jim's going to be in charge of the football operations. His Ineos team, led by Steve Brailsford, are going to be in charge. And yes, they've been doing things behind the scenes. They've been very busy behind the scenes already, but they're not able to actually execute any of that at the moment. So there's this kind of strange situation where in a normal time, Erik ten Hag might be very close to the sack. And yes, the club have major doubts about him and his ability to make this team better, but they won't be able to sack him probably until the takeover or the first stage of the takeover is complete.
Daniel, how are you feeling at this moment in time? What are your thoughts on Ten Hag and his future? Where would you like to see the club go over this season now?
I think with Ten Hag, it's a weird one because he obviously hasn't implemented his style yet. He hasn't, and he keeps saying he can't, which is a kind of a worry because that was the whole reason we hired him to begin with. But I feel also like sacking him at this point doesn't make a difference. There's so many issues at the club above him and the players who are largely his players at this point as well. But there's so many issues that just getting rid of him doesn't necessarily fix anything. So you're in a spot where sacking him probably helps because he's not doing much right now, but it also doesn't fix anything. So what's the point?
It's a really awkward position. Wayne, in terms of the January window plans for United, you wrote a piece this morning actually detailing their aims. It's quite shocking, really, what the plan is.
Yeah, I mean, they're very willing to sell multiple first-team stars. However, there's lots and lots of caveats with that. I mean, from what I understand, it's up to 6 first-team stars. They'd be very happy to listen to offers for. Ones you would have read about and some maybe not. Varane, Casemiro, Eriksen, Sancho and Van de Beek, obviously. And, they are players. Some of them aren't absolutely integral, but some of them are regulars and are probably going to play on Sunday, actually, against Liverpool. So the club will get rid of them, but there's not much of a market for them. There's a lot in the Saudi League where Casemiro's been linked with the Saudi League. Eriksen's been linked with the Saudi League, so has Varane. But a lot of those clubs have already reached their full quota of foreign players. Some of them won't want to change those in mid-season. And I think there's one elite club that haven't reached their quota, but have already got a number of really big names. And a lot of them have kind of reached their financial limits as well. So they don't necessarily want to be handing a £350,000 a week contract to a central midfielder whose legs have gone and who's currently out anyway. So there are big questions about a market for those players, and that makes sales difficult. And then United have to sell before they can buy. Yes, they've got targets. They've got targets at centre-back. Mark Guehi's an absolute top target, but they won't be signing a centre-back for 45 or 50 million unless they can sell some players first. And United, another issue as well, Lewis, is they're quite tight on financial fair play as well. So, and then throw in the Sir Jim Ratcliffe stuff. It's all quite complicated. It's, it's not the answer that Man United fans want. Those ones who think, new owner, Mbappe's on his way. Sadly, not for them.
No, there might be.
It's kind of like what I was saying with the squad in terms of you can sell players. If Ten Hag was to sell, I don't know, Maguire tomorrow, who wanted to sell in the summer, and then he signed Guehi. That's one of his signings where you look on paper and you go, okay, that's a good signing. Maguire wasn't wanted anyway. But then none of his signings so far have worked. So it's like, well, is it worth spending another £50 million if we're then going to sack him in February?
I mean, as a United fan, Daniel, I was quite actually interested in asking you, what do you make of all the players that Ten Hag's been buying from players who were represented by the agency where his son works? I mean, as a United fan, does that bother you at all, or do you just think, okay, that's football, that's the way it goes?
I wouldn't mind it so much if they were performing. I think obviously everything looks worse when they don't play well. So, for example, I don't know exactly who it is that's with the agency.
Amrabat, Højlund.
So I think I have no problem with the Højlund signing. I think it made a lot of sense. The money's obviously crazy.
Really? 70 million? Did that make
the
sense?
money's crazy.
But no Premier League goals and 70 million.
Yeah, that's a worry for sure. And I do think he could be doing more. But also the team is just, I think no Man United forward has scored at Old Trafford since May, and that was Sancho. So that says a lot.
You know, can I just say in here, like, when you think about Manchester United, you've just said that stat since May. Manchester United, the size of the club. If you'd said that to Fergie 10 or 15 years ago, his face would have gone purple. Like it's funny that we talk about Manchester United now as if they're like not a big club, as if this is a normal thing. It's, you know, the way in which football has changed over the last 10 or 15 years. And Daniel, I know you will have experienced it firsthand. Is absolutely remarkable. Like, surely that stat to you is really worrying. Top goal scorer Scott McTominay. It's like, that's a real problem.
And especially, he's terrible. He's your best player, isn't he, Daniel?
He's absolutely not even.
Oh,
he should be the first one.
So he should be the first one to go. What, six Premier League goals this season from the number 6 position?
Yeah. He could score 100. I'd want him out. He's
really?
terrible. I've never seen a central midfielder hide from the ball so much.
Wow! I can't believe what over your.
Yeah, I thought he'd be like first name in your Man United Liverpool combined 11, which we'll come to shortly.
I'm of the belief where things aren't working right now, the manager should be trying new things. So you've got players like Hannibal, Kobe Mino, who's breaking in the last few weeks. Donny van der Beek. I don't think Van der Beek is good enough for this level. I think he's proven that in the 3 years he's been here. But at what point do you play someone else when no one else is playing well? So Amrabat's not been playing well. McTominay, yes, he's scored a few goals, but his overall performances have been shocking. You've got Mason Mount was a £60 million signing sitting on the bench for no reason. Not really sure what's going on there. Eriksen hasn't had legs for most of his career. And then you've got someone like Van der Beek who knows the manager's system in and out from Ajax. He's a goal threat. He's proven that in his career. And he's hungry. He keeps begging for chances to play. Yes, the chances he's had, he's not taken. But at what point do you say, here's another chance, when you've got no other options?
But Daniel, isn't the feeling, though, that if you do say, right, let's play the kids, let's start Hannibal and Mino on the weekend against Liverpool, aren't you just admitting total defeat, that your midfield is so useless that you're having to play? And again, I think kids do come in. I think they do bring an energy and enthusiasm that players that are effectively slacking, like you've hinted at, you know, players that are maybe dropping a 5, 6 out of 10 every week, they will come in and give it their all. But doesn't that then highlight actually Ten Hag's lack of interpersonal skills and actually the unity in this squad? Because the fact that your top goal scorer is McTominay and you don't even rate him, I mean, that to me says it all, really.
I think it can seem that way, but also when you look at, for example, Garnacho's come in, Rashford's been terrible this season, and I'm Rashford's biggest fan, but Garnacho came in and he's immediately made an impact. And whether he's not good for the entire 90 minutes every week, but he's a kid. He's going to be inconsistent.
Yeah.
But if the players that come in make a difference in a positive way, why does it matter how old they are or whether they played previously? If Van der Beek comes in and makes the midfield better for even this 6-week period between now and the end of January, that's a good thing. That can't be seen as a negative in any way. Whether that saves us spending 40 million on a new midfielder, whether that gets him a buyer, because like Wayne said, we're struggling to find anybody who wants to buy our players. Even though this little 6-week period, you have these players in your squad, you're paying them a wage, use them. I mean, nothing else is working, you might as well.
I do agree to it. I would say one thing that I remember. Sorry, and we don't need to bring up the 7-0 defeat last year because I know we'll cover that.
We can bring up 7-0 defeat.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.